Communication in organizations is the process of sending and receiving information among individuals or groups in an organization to achieve common goals. Organizations, be it companies, educational institutions, or non-profit organizations, always involve individuals with different roles, responsibilities, and interests. Therefore, communication is key to coordinating their actions, ensuring everyone is on the same page, and achieving a common goal. Vertical communication. Vertical communication is a type of communication that moves between different levels in the organizational hierarchy, from management to employees or vice versa. It is a very important form of communication for managing hierarchical organizational structures and ensuring that strategic and operational information can flow effectively. Upward communication. Upward communication is communication that originates from subordinates and is sent to superiors or higher levels of management. Its main purpose is to provide input, reports, feedback, and suggestions to those with higher authority. Some common examples of upward communication include performance reports. Employees report work results or project progress to supervisors or managers. Improvement suggestions. Employees propose solutions or ideas to improve existing procedures. Complaints or problems. Employees raise issues they are facing, such as lack of resources or difficulty in carrying out tasks. Uses. Upward communication helps management understand the real conditions on the ground, know what is working and what is not, and address issues proactively. Downward communication. Downward communication is communication that flows from management to lower-level employees. It is often used to convey instructions, directions, new policies, organizational vision, or performance evaluations. Some forms of downward communication include work instructions. Managers give directions on how tasks should be completed, including technical details or procedures. Policies and regulations. Management introduces new policies that all employees must follow, such as safety regulations or changes to human resources policies. Performance appraisals. Formal appraisals or feedback from supervisors to employees regarding their work. Uses. Downward communication ensures that all members of the organization understand the strategic goals of the company and know how their roles contribute to those goals. Horizontal communication. Horizontal communication occurs between individuals or departments that are at the same level in the organizational hierarchy. It is often used for collaboration, coordination, and problem-solving in daily work. Horizontal communication encourages teamwork and removes barriers between departments. Coordination between departments. For example, the marketing team communicates with the sales team to align marketing campaigns with sales targets. Peer-to-peer discussions. Employees from the same division discuss to share information or provide support in carrying out their duties. Uses. Horizontal communication speeds up decision-making and increases efficiency as team members at the same level can directly work together without having to go through a formal hierarchy. Diagonal communication. Diagonal communication is communication that occurs between employees of different levels and departments, but who are not in a direct hierarchical line to each other. This communication cuts across the formal lines of vertical and horizontal communication, usually to speed up processes or reduce bureaucracy in decision-making. Example: an employee in the marketing division talks directly to the finance manager regarding a project budget, without having to go through the marketing manager first. Uses. Diagonal communication helps speed up problem-solving or simplify coordination between departments, which can reduce confusion or wait times that arise when relying solely on formal vertical and horizontal communication. Informal communication. Informal communication is communication that occurs outside of official channels or organizational procedures. This form of communication lacks a clear structure and is often more spontaneous, such as casual conversations between employees or chatter in the break room. Rumors. Information that spreads without going through official channels often takes the form of speculation or unconfirmed news. Small talk. Employees share information about work or organizational issues informally, for example outside of working hours or during breaks. Uses. Informal communication helps build interpersonal relationships between employees, strengthens team solidarity, and is sometimes a source of information that is not available through formal channels. The sender is the person or party who starts the communication process by sending the message. The sender has a very important role because he determines the content of the message, the purpose, and the way of delivery. For effective communication, the sender must consider several things: clarity of purpose. What is the sender's purpose in sending the message? Is it to inform, instruct, or request a response? Audience understanding. The sender must understand who the recipient of the message is in order to customize the communication style, language, and content according to the audience's level of understanding and needs. Message framing. The sender should structure the message in a clear and structured way, so that it is easy to understand and does not cause confusion. Emotion or tone delivery. The sender should also convey the right tone in the message, especially in verbal communication, as tone of voice or word choice can affect how the message is received. Message. The message is the essence of communication, which is the information, ideas, or thoughts that the sender wants to convey to the receiver. Messages can be verbal, written, or nonverbal cues such as body language. Some factors that affect the effectiveness of the message. Clarity. Messages should be delivered in a simple and understandable manner. The language used should be adapted to the recipient's ability. Relevance. The message should be appropriate to the context and needs of the recipient. Irrelevant information can distract and reduce the effectiveness of communication. Completeness. The message should include all the necessary information to facilitate complete understanding by the recipient. Appropriateness of content and form. The sender should ensure that the format and style of message delivery, e.g. formal or informal, matches the context of the situation and the relationship between the sender and receiver. Channel. The communication channel is the medium or means used to convey the message from the sender to the receiver. The choice of communication channel is very important to ensure the message can be delivered effectively. There are several types of communication channels. Oral communication. Channels such as face-to-face meetings, telephone conversations, or oral presentations. Oral communication allows for direct message delivery and allows for immediate feedback. Written communication. Channels such as emails, memos, letters, or written reports. These are often used for formal communication or to keep documentary evidence. Electronic communication. Besides email, there are also electronic communication tools such as chat on work platforms, text messaging, or video conferencing. These allow for quick communication in the digital age. Nonverbal communication. Body language, facial expressions, or tone of voice can be channels for conveying emotions or attitudes, although they are often not realized by the sender. Channel selection. Senders should consider several factors when choosing a channel, such as the urgency of the message, the level of formality, and the preferences of the recipient. For example, for important formal instructions, a written email may be more appropriate than an oral conversation. Receiver. The receiver is the individual or group that is the target of the message. The role of the receiver is very important in the communication process because he/she must receive the message. The receiver must receive the message through the channel chosen by the sender, be it through the ears oral communication or the eyes written communication. Interpret the message. The receiver has to interpret and understand the message received. This can be affected by the receiver's background, knowledge, emotions, and experiences. If the receiver misinterprets the message, the purpose of communication is not achieved. Giving a response. After receiving and understanding the message, the receiver gives a response to the sender, known as feedback. Effective understanding. For communication to be successful, the receiver must have a clear understanding of the content of the message. Barriers such as differences in language, experience, or perspective can affect how well the receiver understands the message. Feedback. Feedback is the response given by the receiver to the sender after receiving the message. Feedback is a key component in communication as it allows the sender to know if the message has been received and understood correctly. There are two types of feedback. Positive feedback. This indicates that the receiver has understood and received the message well. For example, the receiver expresses agreement or follows the instructions given. Negative feedback. This indicates that there is a problem in understanding the message. For example, the recipient may ask for clarification, ask additional questions, or even reject the message. Importance of feedback. Feedback helps that there are no misunderstandings in the communication process. If the recipient does not provide feedback, the sender may not know whether the message was received and understood correctly. Therefore, feedback helps to adjust the message in the future. Context. Context is the background or situation in which communication occurs. The context can be the culture of the organization, the relationship between sender and receiver, environmental conditions, or even the mood of the individuals involved. Context influences how messages are sent and received. Here are some elements of context to consider. Physical context, the place where communication occurs, for example, in the office, in a meeting room, or over the telephone. Social context, the relationship between sender and recipient, whether superior and subordinate, co-workers, or external parties. Cultural context, the norms, values, and traditions that underlie interactions within an organization. For example, in some cultures, more direct communication is welcomed, while in others, a more subtle approach is necessary. Emotional context, the mood or emotions that influence the way a message is perceived or received. Influence of context, the sender and receiver must take context into account for communication to run smoothly. For example, conveying criticism in a tense work environment may be received worse than in a more relaxed atmosphere.